This is the capital of the United States, Washington, D.C. Officially the District of Columbia, this strip of land between Maryland and Virginia has served as the nation's capital for over 225 years. But why? Even with its growth in recent years, it's definitely not the largest city in the U.S. Nor is it particularly central, with the center of the continental United States being over 1,000 miles away in Kansas. It's not even defensible, with it being relatively flat and close to the ocean. In fact, Canada at one point actually occupied D.C. and burnt down the capital. So why is D.C. the U.S. capital? Well, like most odd things in America, Electoral College, it dates back to the 1700s. Before we even declared independence, the people declaring independence needed a place to do their declaring, and declared that they would declare it in the delightfully named Independence Hall, which surely at no point was renamed to reflect their declaration. Now with the war to win, the capital wasn't really at the forefront of anyone's mind, so it moved around. And after the war, due to the decentralized government the US had before the Constitution, there was no permanent capital. This led to the capital changing 13 times from 1776 to 1789. Now, due to some complications of the federal government having no real power that I won't bore you with, the Constitution was adopted in New York, the temporary capital at the time. Which, in addition to other less important stuff like the president, democracy, and a judicial system, decided that the US should have a permanent capital, because they were tired of moving around all the time, and with more power, they'd have to start moving even more stuff. Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution states, yada yada wars, blah blah taxes, district not exceeding 10 miles square, as may, by cession of particular states, and the acceptance of Congress, become the seat of government of the United States. Now the Constitution, or as I like to call it, the Compromise-stitution, was a compromise. And one of these many compromises was, as you may notice, it says to create a capital, but it doesn't say where to create a capital. They decided to kick the can down the road because everyone wants that sweet, sweet federal money. One problem, this particular road isn't very long, because the seat of government is kinda important. This is when three important early American politicians enter our story. First is a northerner, Alexander Hamilton, and besides having a great musical, he's the Secretary of the Treasury. Next are two Southerners and future presidents, Thomas Jefferson, Secretary of State, and James Madison, an influential member of Congress. Hamilton wants the federal government to assume state debts, while the Southerners want the nation's capital. Well, we don't quite know how they managed to come to an agreement, since no one else was in the room where it happened. They agreed to help each other out, and the event is later called the Compromise of 1790. This resulted in the Residence Act, which places the capital closer to the south, on the Potomac River, between Virginia and Maryland, and specifies it to be no larger than 10 miles square or 100 square miles. They placed a deadline for their big square to be ready in 1800. Soon, the president, George Washington, puts his act into, well, action. By scouting out land on the Potomac, he decided to place it near the already existing city of Georgetown. Now, he claimed he placed it there because it was the furthest point inland that was navigable by ship. There's no way George Washington placed his capital by Georgetown by accident. After Virginia and Maryland agreed to cede their section of the big square, work began on constructing the necessary government buildings, which, due to some politicking, were to only be on the Marylander side. In 1791, the committee in charge of the capital's construction decided to name the district Columbia after Christopher Columbus and the city Washington after the president. Yet it's important to note that at this time, there were multiple cities in the district in addition to Washington, including Alexandria and the aforementioned Georgetown. Construction finished in 1801, and Congress passed the D.C. Organic Act, which unfortunately did not provide free organic produce to D.C.'s residents, but it organized the district into two counties, Washington County on the north bank and Alexandria County in the south. Clearly they needed to change whoever's in charge of naming. Remember at the beginning of the video when I talked about Canada burning down the capital? Well, that happened during the War of 1812 and 1814. Only a little more than a decade after it finished construction. How rude. I don't forgive you. Now the government had a bunch of land without a capital. They soon started reconstruction. No, not that one. But they needed a place to meet. They took over a former hotel, which was spared by the Canadians after the manager told them not to. They met the hotel for about a year. The final rebuilt Capitol building was the last in a line of 15 different US capitals. As you may notice, today, DC is depressingly no longer as beautifully squarish and quadrate. So this begs the question, how would someone do something so horrible? Well, like another horrific event in American history, Virginia was involved. At this time, the residents of the district could not vote and had no members of Congress. Because of this, and more importantly fearing the abolition of slavery, Alexandria County wanted out, which, for probably the singular time in world history, politicians actually listened, with both Congress and Virginia agreeing to let Alexandria rejoin Virginia. A few less important things happened later, like 700,000 people getting the right to vote, but who cares about that? And that's why DC is where it is, an almost square on the Potomac, because of a compromise 200 years ago, because politicians only know two shapes, and because of slavery. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, it would really help me out if you subscribed.